Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Lisa LAANE, very, very lovely woman who does what I love. She takes care of the older adults in many ways, and she is with JN Nursing Registry, Inc. So, Lisa, before we got started, I was talking to you about all the people in this field of caring for older adults.
Right.
Everyone does something different, it seems like. And maybe you can just let's talk about your company. Okay. And what do all the people do in your company?
Well, what we do is we're trying to keep the seniors at home and independent. So we're sending them out like home health aides and CNAs or nurses if they need it. Our main goal is that, we want them to be able to be at home with their things and, have an aide there so that the family can have a break. Me personally, what I do is, like I said, I go out and I'm doing all the networking and going to the rehabs and going out and seeing the patients. And, if they're in a civic center or something like that, we go there and, go to the dances and be with them. So, as a private duty, we still work with the doctors. We work closely with the families. If they are in a rehab, if something does happen, we're there with them at the rehab if they need us to be. If they're in the hospital, we'll go there with them. So once they're with us, we'll stay with them if anything happens and follow them the entire time. And, keep the family member, involved and let them know what's going on because sometimes, they live far away. And communicating with the physician also. If we're in the home and we notice any changes in the client's health, or maybe they're on a new medication and we're noticing this is, this patient seems to be, unsteady or dizzy or having a reaction, we communicate that right away with the physician and let them know, what's going on. So we're really, almost like, a case manager there too, as far as, keeping everybody apprised to what's going on.
Well, thank you. That's an excellent explanation. And as you were talking, I was thinking about all the people that don't have someone like that helping them. Because you know that. That's the world. That's the field.
Well, a lot of people aren't, aware of everything that's out there for them. And even if it's something that they can't come with us because they can't afford it, we're never going to just turn somebody away. I work with everybody out there. So if they're a better candidate to be in an assisted living, I work with people that know all the assisted living facilities. So it depends on, where that patient's at. And maybe financially they can't afford it. So we'll help them with, maybe getting registered with, Medicaid or something like that. So they can have someone come in for free. So whatever, their needs are, we're never just going to turn somebody away if we can't help them.
Well, I'm going to go further than that. Okay. There are many people that can afford it.
Yes.
And they don't want any help because that means they're not independent.
Yeah.
Right? I know you've heard that so many times.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And, and I always tell people, I'm like, think of it as, you have a maid or somebody coming in that's looking out after you. And a lot of people they have those long-term care policies and they hold on to them forever. And typically most of them have an elimination period. So my suggestion
Mine doesn't.
It doesn't.
Mine goes on forever.
You don't have like a 90 or 30 day.
No.
Well, a lot of people they have that. So let's say they have the 30-day elimination period. And the thing is if you wait until, you're like, you need, 2 12-hour shifts, you're going to be paying out of pocket for those 2 12-hour shifts, as opposed to having somebody there now when you might need 4, 5, 6 hours a day, you're going to pay out of pocket. So I always tell everybody, if you need it, use it now and get rid of that elimination. Don't wait until you're going to be paying, because it's expensive to have somebody around the clock. Where you're going to need to pay somebody for 24 hours. It'd be easier to pay somebody for 5 or 6. And then let that insurance policy kick in and use it.
And I don't think this is probably one of your responsibilities, but the people who are now finding the help for the home, what kind of matching up do you do? Because that is so important.
we'll sit there and we'll speak with the family and find out, kind of get a feel for what that person is. And then we'll speak, to the client. And then we'll send a nurse out to go out and do an assessment. And then it's, determined by, what their needs are. If it's somebody that's maybe an Alzheimer's patient, we're going to look for somebody that has a background in that. If it's somebody, that's maybe, only speaks Spanish or something, we'll send them an aide out that, that only speaks that. Or we might have a family member that says, they've been through 5 or 6 aides. And it's like, well, what is it that they're complaining about? You have to find out and get to the core of it. And it might be something as simple as they don't clean the way I want them to clean. And it could, and it happens all the time, and I always say, you tell them how you want them to do it and they'll do it.
And it's also the cooking.
And the cooking.
She doesn't make the food
it could
like
be the way
I
you
want.
cut the tomatoes on the salad, and all these little things are just an irritant to them, and then of course the aide gets frustrated, so it's not a match. So you really have to be thorough. Talk to the family, go out and see the patient, talk to the patient, and really determine what that patient needs. And then you're going to get a match. Yeah. And then it's a wonderful thing when it happens.
So you look at like Match.com, right?
Exactly, right? We should have... That's a good idea.
Yeah, Match.com.
Yeah.
SeniorMatch.com,
SeniorMatch.com.
Right? Lisa LAANE is Patient Care Advisor for JN Nursing Registry. If you want more information from them and how maybe you can be a part of that, I'm going to give you their phone number. It's 330-6530, right?
Correct.
Area code 561-330-6530. And you can get online to jnnursing.com. jnnursing.com. Well, I wanted to go through this because so many times, and I'm hearing this from friends and their family members, I feel so sorry for that aide who's there because sometimes the family members get involved. And it's not that they're just one family member. You have 2 or 3.
Right.
And each has a different idea of what should be happening.
Right.
And do you have psychologists in your company? How do you
Patience
deal with this?
and doing it for a long time helps. And you get several family members, that are conflicting. But we try to always tell them to, we don't want to get involved in the family dynamics if there's family members arguing. And that's why we have an RN that goes out and creates a plan of treatment, the very specific of what we'll do and what our duties are. And, you just have to be patient with people. It's a tough time for them, too. They're taking care of their families and, mom and dad's not feeling well. They're sick now. They need help. And it's a big responsibility. So I think you have to be compassionate, very compassionate and patient with people through that time. And just be understanding to people.
Right. There are a lot of dynamics, aren't there?
There is. Yeah. You have to, like I said, you have to really have the heart for this industry.
Yes.
And once you do, you can't do anything else, because it's just in your soul and that's it.
Yeah, exactly right. And then when you think of it, there are so many well seniors. And when we talk, we're now talking about the ill seniors. There are well seniors in their 80s and their 90s.
Right.
And a lot of them can manage for themselves most things.
Right.
Now, some may not be able to drive.
Right.
So, and some may not be able to go to the grocery store and understand where the things are and how to buy them, but they're still a well senior.
Right. Or just for them to be able to get out of the house, go, someone to go to Denny's with them, someone to take them to the mall, someone to take them to the movie theater, or take them to a civic center so they can go to a dance and be around other seniors. Companionship, maybe even just sitting down and watching TV with them and listening to them talk about their soap opera. It's so sad to hear, when people are home alone. And I actually seen something on the news the other day, and they were going to do a 1-800 number for seniors that are so lonely. And they had a lady, and she said, "You're the first person I've talked to in months." And they have a number that they can call just to have someone to talk to because they're so lonely. So, it's not always when you're sick, and you want, they need companionship and they need someone to get out there with them.
And I really fault the neighbors because we know that there are a lot of condos in one building.
Right.
And it might be the person next door or down the hall. People ought to be aware of who's around. and just
Yeah.
pop in.
Yeah.
But
I guess in that case, it's good to have the nosy neighbor that's,
Right. Hi, I'm your nosy neighbor.
Yeah, checking in. So, instance, it probably would be better. And it is sad because it is a big thing, and loneliness is the worst thing ever. So even if, like I said, just have somebody for 4 hours a day just to come out and say, oh, let's go to the mall. Let's go get some lunch today. How about we try this place, the Civic Center, and see if you like it? Or let's go see a movie. And just getting them out of the house, even if it's just taking them down to the pool.
I see so many aides now with the older adults going to those kinds of
things. Yeah, you
things.
see them all over.
Yeah, and so it has really become something. And even in the assisted living, if they can afford it, they have someone. Because we have to remember that assisted living, no matter what level, they're not going to be by your side all the time.
No,
you're
don't
still
get
going to
that
have a few
one-on-one.
hours. That's right.
Yeah.
It's not one-on-one. So, and people don't understand that either.
Yeah.
So it depends on some women, some men are very independent and they don't want someone with them all the time.
Right.
But then again, there's some who are lonely. They do want someone there. They're afraid. And if you can afford it, or if the family can afford it, and that's why I even talk about reverse mortgages. A lot of people own homes and they have a lot of money sitting underneath that house.
Yeah, yeah.
And they need to do a reverse mortgage and get the money out so that they can have some fun in their later years.
Exactly. It is. It's even if they're in an independent facility and there's activities going on there, if somebody doesn't come and take them out of their room and say, let's go to those activities like to bingo or the little, dances and things that they have at those places, sometimes they'll just sit in their apartment all day.
Do you know about the people, and they have money, I don't know, they have huge amounts of money, who go on cruises? No, they go on cruises every single month. They just stay on those.
I heard about a lady, I seen an article, and she lives on the cruise.
She has a doctor.
Yeah.
She has wonderful people to talk to. She has all her food made for her.
Yeah.
I probably saw the same article.
Yeah.
I love that. I was really thinking about that.
Yeah.
A lot to it.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe for me,
all of us. That's right. We can share a room.
That's a really good idea.
Or they maybe have to have rooms for 4 people.
Yeah, well, she gets gourmet meals and dances and
exactly.
and bingo and entertainment.
Exactly.
And everything there for her.
So I think there's something there that maybe we have to explore, because I think the baby boomers are not going to go the same way as the seniors. The seniors have been more obedient and more they just expect, okay, that's what I have to take. The boomers aren't.
Right. And if you have a mom and dad and you're like, geez, now they need home care and we're all pitching in and paying out of our pocket, make sure you go, okay, now I need to go buy myself a long-term care policy because I know from experience what's going to happen, so that's really important. And another thing that scares me a lot too is that, because times are tough for everybody, people are hiring people privately. And it's
dangerous.
It's very dangerous. And it's, you go, oh, well, I know him. He took care of the lady next door. He or she is a great person. And, I was reading an article and what could happen is if that person is taking care of that person full time and you don't make sure that they're an independent contractor and the job ends and they're like, okay, well, I don't have another job. I got to support my family. I'm going to go get unemployment. Now the IRS knows. Now that family is looked at as an employee or employer. So they could be responsible for Social Security. They could be responsible for unemployment, to pay their unemployment wages.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and a lot of people, even if they come to you and say, oh, I am for sure, an independent contractor, we make sure that's our job as an agency to make sure. And so you might be saving $1 or $2, but then that family is going to be responsible. We make sure that they're electronically fingerprinted by the FBI. If anything happens, we're notified immediately to make sure that they have no criminal background. And so if they come in and something happens and something's missing and they just take off, you have no support, so you're really taking on as being an employer. And if they get injured there again, the family can be responsible for disability. If they're taking on is that they're the employer. And it even can go as far as criminal fines because that person doesn't fit in the criteria of an independent contractor. And many people don't. So we make sure that they do.
Lisa LAANE, that you have just brought up some very, very important points.
Yes.
Most people don't see about the worst thing they'll say, well, we don't know if they're not going to steal. That's their biggest worry. I mean, they're stealing from someone, but you're bringing up something much bigger. This is Lisa LAANE, Patient Care Advisor for JN Nursing Registry. You can reach them on their website at jnnursing.com, or you can call 561-330-6530. 330-6530. Can they ask for you?
Sure.
Okay. You're going to call ask for Lisa LAANE.
Yeah, we're all there. We're all trained. So whoever they get, we'll help anybody that calls. And, if Joyce is on the phone, then, any one of us will step in and help out.
All right. And what are some of the questions that people call and ask?
Mainly, probably the first question is rate. And with us being a registry, our rates are a little lower. I know a lot of policies don't pay that much if you're using your long-term care policy. And us being able to maintain as a registry as opposed to an agency, we are able to keep our rates down. So they can get more hours from us and our rates are a little lower, but we still go by the same criteria with ACA as an agency does. They still come in and check our charts, and we have to make sure that, like I said, that they're FBI fingerprinted, that they have references and physicals and all their updates done. So we're at the same level as far as that goes. And like I said, we make sure that they fit the criteria of an independent contractor.
So I have a weird question. I always have weird questions.
Fine.
Make everybody just hold their breath. So let's say someone can't have a dog because they just can't have one, but one of your aides has a dog, and they want that aide to bring the dog. Would that be allowed?
Sure.
Whoa.
Yeah.
See, that's good.
I mean, if the client is, requesting that, then, when the aide's like, well, I have a dog, and it's something that, they've discussed between the two of them, absolutely.
Wouldn't that be nice?
The aide would be able to do that. Of course, I would hope she wouldn't bring over, a vicious dog or anything like that.
Or 500-pound dog, right?
Right, know. But, absolutely.
Because that's wonderful therapy.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah, any kind of pet like that. You just take them to the zoo or, take them over.
No, but that someone who's, let's say, had a pet all their life.
Yeah.
And now they don't have a pet. But if someone comes with a pet, I would think that could just change their entire attitude.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. So, there are all sorts of different things. When you think about people, you have to really, and I'm sure you do this, you have to ask what their lifestyle is now and what it's been like.
Right.
And what did they like? Maybe they used to play piano, and because you see a piano there, but they can't play piano now. Maybe you can find an aide that plays piano.
Yeah. Well,
never know.
Listen, if they ask, we'll check and see if we can find.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, we'll at least make that effort to see if we can find what they want.
Yeah, and that's why you've been very successful. How long have you been around?
The agency's been open over 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. Well, that's a long time. And are you located in Palm Beach County? It probably doesn't matter where
we
your
do.
Headquarters.
All of Palm Beach County and all of Broward County. So we service both counties.
And I guess you have seen, and how long have you been with them?
I have been with them over a year, but I've been in the industry for over 25 years.
So that was good, because now I can ask you that question.
Yeah.
You have probably seen a very big change in the healthcare field, haven't you?
I have. I was seeing more of just even recently, with, agencies grouping together, kind of keeping everything, so if there's an agency, they're going to be, have the rehab, they're going to have the Medicare. And, I don't, if I'm going to do a mortgage on my house, I don't want my realtor, my mortgage person, and then my inspector to all be conjoined together because that's not me getting a second opinion. So I would rather kind of keep that stuff separate, and work with, separate entities there.
Very interesting.
So a lot of places are doing that now, and you want to have, a separate Medicare and a separate home care, so then you have two different opinions from people. So that's one thing I'm noticing is a lot of places are grouping together. And I think, I work with several different Medicare agencies or, several rehabs so that people have a choice. And I think that works better. And I think it works better for the families too. I don't like everything grouped together like that, but that I have noticed a huge, change in that out there in the field.
What else?
Probably, of course, the pay rates, have really went up for the seniors, and, they can't afford it. And so even with their policies, most policies probably pay, $100 to $120 a day typically. And, a lot of places are charging like $22 to $18 an hour, and that's, you're not going to get very many hours out of that. And so I find that, the families are having to step in more, even if they did buy a policy, to make up that difference. So we're a little bit lower than that. We're, more around like 14 to 16 depending on what the case is and what the patient's needs are. But we can go as far as up to 17, 18. But typically we're lower than most places because we can do that. We're privately owned.
Well, just going along, thinking about that. So if you really understand the older adult who needs help, and that person could have the meals made and the bed made, maybe they don't need 8 hours, or
right.
You just do what they really have to have.
Yeah.
And then maybe a call or two during the day can help. So you probably work it. If you really individualize each person, and that's why I'm happy to hear that, you can figure out what is going to keep that person happy and safe.
And at home, and something that they can afford.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Because, see, they're upset with that themselves. You can imagine they're having to ask their kids to help them. They don't want to do that.
Yeah. And it's tough for everybody out there right now. So it is hard. But I always tell, the kids, I'm like, it's like paying for daycare for your kids when they're little,
sure.
And everybody's got to pitch in and pay,
Right. And they did for you, and you have to do for them. But,
exactly.
But are you familiar with reverse mortgages? That is a very wonderful thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm not
that's
real
where the money
familiar with
is.
it, but that's a
Money's
great idea.
inside. It's the treasures underneath. And it's just that the kids won't, if they use it, then the kids don't get the full value when it gets old. But I know a lot of people who have done reverse mortgages, and sometimes there could be $100,000, $200,000 sitting there, and they don't get to use it. Isn't that horrible?
Yeah, and then they could be able to stay home and
or
have
go on a
somebody
cruise.
live on the cruise, right? Yeah, I mean, definitely, for sure. I mean, it's, there's always ways. Like I said, we work with, elder law attorneys. And so, I mean, there's always ways we can try to look around and see, maybe if there is some money. I know sometimes they even said on like life insurance policies too.
You can now sell your life insurance policies. Absolutely.
And do that.
I know. I know if people have done that.
And if it's a wish of your parent that they want to stay at home, and you can do that, then do that for them, and let them be at home. Some people they love an assisted living. They're there having a good time. But if their wish is to be at home, and that's where they want to be, then we, as their children, it's our responsibility to make that happen.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's really important. You know that a lot of the kids think for them, and they don't really ask them. So that's a good point, that some of them don't want to go to an assisted living. They've never lived that life. They don't want to live that life. They want to be at home. They want to watch their television. They want to have, their little garden or whatever they have.
Pets.
Let them alone. But no, the daughter or the son says, "Oh, Mom, you should be here. It's a great place." And don't tell them what they should have.
Exactly.
Ask them.
Yeah. I've been to a lot of places, and I've seen people, and they're just so depressed, and they just want to go home. And it's so sad because it's not for everybody. I'm a social butterfly, so I might be like, yeah, put me in there, but some people aren't.
You'll be running the place if you go in there.
I might have a good time there,
right.
But some people, it's just not for them.
I know.
And like I said, you gotta, give them the respect that they deserve, because they're still our parents. And they might be a little bit slower now, but, they're still older and wiser than us, and they know what they want. So we really need to listen to people.
And there are now, when you said parents, there are grandparents.
And parents are right.
Many of the grandparents are there, because the
Yeah.
parents are, let's see, you probably have a mom, and what is she, in her 50s?
Well, no, because I'm 50. So that would be...
You're 50.
I'm 50.
You are kidding.
Yeah, I'm 51, actually.
I'm going to faint. Well, so okay, so you could have a mother in her 70s and a grandmother in her 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I said my mom passed away, but she was 85, and she was in a assisted living for a while, and then she ended up living out here with me in my home the last year and a half of her life.
Good for you.
She liked it sometimes, but at the end, she wanted to be with her family and her grandkids, and so I had her come live with me. And she was living in Chicago, and I brought her down here, and I moved her in with me. So.
Oh, Lisa Ann, I will tell you that is just lovely that you did that. And so you have great memories, and you did
exactly.
You were a good family
You never
member.
know how much time we have with them, and, so cherish it,
Was your mother a social butterfly like you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, she liked going, flirting with the men there and dancing and, and had a good time. But, then she got sick. And it was harder for her, and she had cancer. And so, I think they get embarrassed too. They're sick and they're losing their hair, and, so you don't feel the same. So then you just want to be at home and you want your family around you.
She was lucky to have a daughter who was really in this healthcare business.
Exactly.
Actually, so that was super. Well, what was her name?
Marianne.
Marianne, your lucky thing. Wherever you are now, Lisa Ann is here, and she saw Lisa. So, Lisa LAANE. Lisa LAANE, you're just great. And lets everyone know, JN Nursing Registry. You want to call her at 561-330-6530. And that's jnnursing.com. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you so much. You're a sweetheart.